Jungle.
Hi guys, welcome back to my podcast. I am really, really excited because I finally have a special guest on. I know I've been talking about it for a while. And yeah, if you guys know me, you know that I studied fashion journalism in college. So I do have a bit of a fashion background. Don't know too much about the design part of it, but I'm still really excited because I love fashion. And the fact that I'm going to be able to talk about costume design with the TV costume designer, Chrisi Karvonides, who is also head of the costume design program at UCLA. And yeah, I'm really excited for you guys to listen in on her talking about season 3 of Barry and what that was like working on set and what other upcoming projects she'll have. And let me go ahead and add her on so you guys can see. Hey, Chrisi.
Hi. So
Let me make sure I get your name right. I know, I'm so excited to have you on, and I just seen your face yesterday, but I'm still excited. Let me make sure I had your name right. Did I spell your name right?
Perfect.
Okay, there you go. Just so people that are watching could actually see the way your name is spelled. So how are you doing today?
Really good. I'm so happy to join you here, Tiffany.
I know, I'm so excited you're on. I've been talking about having a guest for the longest time, and I actually wrote in my notebook when I first started this podcast that I wanted to do an episode specifically about fashion and costume design. So having you on is like making that dream come true.
Cool. Where would you like to start?
Let's start from the beginning, if you don't mind. I just wanted to ask you how you even got into costume design. I know this is probably a question you've been asked like 1,000,001 times, but I'm really interested to hear how you even got started and what specifically about TV costume design drew you in.
I first started with a training at FIT in New York City for for fashion design, and realized very quickly it wasn't for me. I wanted to find a way to combine my artistic abilities and my artistic expression. And I also have this love of storytelling. And I really didn't care about trends or marketing or designing things that people would buy. I quickly realized I wanted to be a visual storyteller. And I still love clothing, but I love using the clothes to convey characters. So right after that, somebody put 2 and 2 together. I ended up doing a stage production in a little town in Biddeford, Maine. And right from there, I went to Emerson for undergraduate costume design training. And then I went to Yale for graduate school. And I've been designing for 3-4 decades.
Wow.
So I started in live performance, but I couldn't make enough money to even own a car or make ends meet. And that's when I moved on over into film and television. Worked as an assistant costume designer in a lot of science fiction movies. And my first design project was actually working as a costume designer for TV. And I just fell in love with it. I like the fast pace. I love the fact I get a new script every 10 days. And there's always tons of characters to discover and redefine and create their costumes for them. So TV became my forte for the last 25 or more years.
And how long do you see yourself doing this for?
Well, some of my idols like Anne Roth and both of whom trained me, Anne Roth and Jane Greenwood, they're in their 80s and they're still designing. So I'd like to go that long.
That's amazing. You could definitely do it. And I can imagine too, I guess, the difference between TV and film. Like when you're doing costume design for characters in TV, you would have a little bit more to work with because you're able to design for them for each episode, whereas a film is just one film. And sometimes characters in film only have like one outfit. And so I can imagine for TV, it would be much more fun.
But in this series with Barry, in this season, he only had like he had a very small closet in keeping with his character. They were very utilitarian. He had layers, but basically he was living out of just a duffel bag. So we stayed true to that. So he had pretty much almost the same outfit throughout. Whereas other characters, their wardrobe costume needs grew and expanded as their character's story arc expanded.
Right. That's something I wanted to talk to you about, because I felt like with Barry, especially in last season, I think he had really adopted to like that LA lifestyle. And
Yeah.
I know his character was working in like Lululemon, so he was wearing those types of clothes.
Yeah.
And then with this season, it's just like dark. Like his wardrobe just like completely regressed. So I was wondering, like, when you go into creating costume design for that type of character, is it really just reflective on what's going on with him mentally?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Now, one of the things is that I did not design the first and the second season of Barry. That was designed by Audrey Fisher, who's a good friend. And so what we did was we maintained what Audrey had created. So we wanted to keep continuity. That was very important for myself and for the showrunners and the creators. And then, like a person like Barry, where we wanted to have him feel a little more assimilated into the lifestyle of Los Angeles and show a little bit that he now has a partner and he's living with the character Sally. So we gave him a slight bump, but he didn't get to buy that many pieces of clothing. Whereas other characters like NoHo Hank, we kept with the same tone as NoHo was the first two seasons. He's not changing yet. So we were able to keep those really fun, crazy, insane choices for NoHo because it kind of reflects his personality, shows that he's sort of assimilating to Los Angeles, but still very much has the taste sensibility of somebody from Chechnya. And we kind of fun at Chechnya.
Yeah, he's definitely a fan favorite. And I know the show isn't very like fashion forward, and it's not so much about the style, but I think with his character, you see that the most.
Yeah. Yeah. And with all my characters, we do mix that high-low. Like we'll use some high-end name brands, but then we go for the really low, cheap, down and dirty, like shop in downtown LA and find odd, bizarre things and then mix it all up. So he might have a little bit of Hugo Boss on, but he's got a lot of bit of downtown Los Angeles mixed in there.
Right. And then I wanted to ask you too, when you're going into a new project, specifically for Barry, what is your process like? I know you said you consulted with Audrey, who was the costume designer for season 1 and season 2. So does it start with like creating color palettes? Does it start with sketching? How do you kind of start?
Oh, that's a good question. So first you got to land the job. So yes, I do go in for interviews still. And I bring a lookbook or a pitch for my interpretation, because I also want the people interviewing me, the showrunners like Alec Berg and Bill Hader and the producers, I want to show them how I will visually communicate my interpretation, how I'm going to do that. So this was unusual because we were all in COVID lockdown. So I had to also show them how I would communicate these ideas on Zoom, which was different. And then doing fittings where in the beginning, only one person could be in the room and we were all suited up and the performers had their mask on. I mean, it was really complicated summer of 2021 to do our job. So I wanted to show them in the lookbook my take on how to interpret the characters. Some of them have new storylines like Sally and Natalie. They get a new job. They're working with Banshee. So I brought in ideas of, oh, it could be clothes like this. And, we could introduce a leather jacket. Sally wore vinyl vintage jackets in the past, but now she's got a little bit of money. So maybe she's going to go out and buy her one big purchase when she signs that contract. We came up with the idea that it would be a leather jacket. So I show options during that initial meeting. And so they want to look at my body of work. They look at the lookbook that I put together, and we both try to see if we can visually communicate in this method. And if it works, then you often will land the job. And then it goes from there. So then it's the big deep dive of watching season 1 and 2 over and over and over again, talking with Audrey, the costume designer from the first season, meeting with the production designer to make sure that my ideas are in sync with everybody else's visual instinct. So I want to like get into everybody's head so that I'm living, breathing, and processing all these visual ideas to funnel it into creating characters. From there, yeah, there's research. But there's one thing to do the research, then you've got to get it into a context to share with everybody else. So I work with Google Drive, and I start streamlining everything. Key images I put into Google Slides. I share it with everybody. I present it every production meeting. We then do a design meeting where we go through it all with the whole team. And then I'm sharing those visual instincts with the actors when they come into the fitting. And we go out to myself and my shoppers, my assistant costume designer. We go out in the world and shop for ideas of the clothes and we have to buy the clothes in their size, bring it all in, do a fitting, then return what doesn't work. And then the things that do work, often we have to buy multiples. Like for Bill, every piece that he liked, there were at least 10 of the exact same piece in his closet, because there are motorcycle stunt drivers, there's fighting stunt people, there's a running stunt person, there's a driving double. So by the end of the season, we've gone through all those multiples of the same items. So it might be like 5 things that we find that are the perfect things for Bill's closet. But then when you go and see his lineup on the truck, it takes up a whole rack of all the multiples. And the shoes we have to buy in like 4 different sizes, because you never know what size shoes the stunt guy is going to wear.
Right. Wow. I never would have thought that it would be that way. I mean, but that totally makes sense though.
But it's very different from fashion. Fashion's about trends, marketing, and selling, and what, trying to have a pulse on what a consumer wants. For us, we are a consumer purchasing costumes and then trying to find the right combinations that convey the character.
Right. And one of my favorite outfits this season was Sally's premiere dress. I thought that was really pretty.
Oh, it's so good.
Yes. And the thing I really loved about it too, I'm not sure, you could let me know if I'm right or wrong about this, if this is what you guys were trying to convey, but I felt like with that dress, it was still really genuine to who she is at her core, that she's still like this small town girl and she's just trying to make it. And I was glad that she didn't come out in something that was like Hollywood or trying to be something that she wasn't. And I thought that was a really nice fit.
You nailed it. That was exactly the thinking. We wanted it to be slightly upscale, a little out of her league, but to have a feeling that it was still what a Midwestern woman would pick for such an event. So, for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of the fashion designer who designed that dress. But then when we got our hands on it, then we made it so it was more like, it made her shoulders stand out more, that it worked with her body. We had to make it work with the particular undergarments and everything, but it was such a pretty dress. And we ended up getting 2 of them because there's the scene with the fitting. I think some of it didn't quite get there, but there were scenes with her being fit by a on-camera costume person. Sorry, let me get rid of this. But it was quite beautiful on her. It was really incredible. And that was the goal. And it didn't have any beads or sequins, but it had a little bit of sparkle to it to just give it a little extra pizzazz.
Yeah. And then, so when you're doing a fitting like that, is it more of a collaborative effort with the actor? Like, were you talking with Sarah Goldberg about that, or was it kind of just?
So. Very,
Oh, okay.
very much so. So, you know, I don't do this all by myself. I have on Barry, I had a team of like 12 people in my department.
Okay.
9, but then you have the day players and extra helpers and everything. But we have the costume designer, assistant costume designer, costume supervisor, costume coordinator to help us with all the money and logistics. Then I had 3 people on the truck. We had extra background costumers, production PA, who we train and then eventually become a union member. And we all belong to either the Costume Design Guild, 892, or we belong to 705, the Costumers Union. And it's a very lucrative, incredible career path. We all have pension plans and health plans, and, you know, we all do that adulting thing. Yeah. But it takes a village. So back to Sarah and that dress. We went to all the big department stores. We shopped online. We reviewed everything that were ideas that we found on print and all took a look. And then we figured out, okay, these work, this doesn't work. Then we go and we show it to our producers. They give us an indication if we're on track. Then we will meet with Sarah ahead of time and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Then we bring in, we must have brought in 20 or 30 dresses. And for some reason, that one dress kept like gnawing away at us. And as soon as Sarah put it on, she was just like, oh my God, this is it. We got like 3 dresses before. Oh, this is it. This is it. But oh my goodness, when she put that one on, it was just like, oh, I feel so fabulous. And I was like, yes, girl, here we go. And we alter it, you know, and the alterations are extensive. And we have an incredible cutter fitter that worked with us on that show too.
Oh, wow. How do you keep up with everything? I know you said you have other people that work with you, but that just sounds like so much when you said you have to have like multiple t-shirts just for Bill, and that's just like one person. So how are you able to keep up with everything since you do TV costume design and you have to work with so many different actors and different characters?
Organization. It's all about being organized. The more organized we are, the more that we can take on. But if it's disorganized, it's a disaster. You can't keep moving forward. And it's fast. I mean, we are shooting on Barry every 8 days, a new script. It's incredibly fast. And a lot of meetings, but really it's crucial to be organized. The first is I'll do a big shout out to a company called Sync on Set, SYNC on SET, Sync on Set. That is a continuity breakdown program that it was originally created for costume continuity. Now the hair and makeup department uses it, the prop department, art department, a lot of other departments use it as well. What's great is we break down the script, we figure out how many costume changes are needed, what the script days are. It helps us with our budgeting. And it helps us keep on track. So we get the master breakdown done, and then all the forms are generated. It prints out our change tags. It prints out our cost reports. We still keep adding the content, but what's nice is you do it once, and then all the other documents get cranked out from there. Does our labels, gets all of our stuff bagged and tagged, so we send it to the truck. It takes a lot to be that organized. But Sync on Set is the main core of being organized. And then the other is that we have different templates and different forms that we use. I actually have a template for presenting my photographs for all the fittings. And that goes into a template. So I have all the breakdown, all the changes in there. It's very complicated. But yeah, it's just being really organized, have our templates, use our forms, and my calendar. I cannot live without the calendar on my phone, on all my devices, but also we have a giant calendar on the wall that we, because the shooting schedule is changing every day. It just never stops. And you never know where you're going to show up the next morning. And a lot of times on Barry, there were a lot of 4:30, 5:30 a.m. calls of being on location. That's an hour away from where I live in Hermosa Beach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's a lot of driving, a lot of logistics, but it takes a village, and I could never do it without my amazing team.
Do you ever have a day where you have your fit all planned and then you have to change it very like last minute?
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. Especially with COVID.
Yeah.
Especially with COVID. You get everything all set up, and then the day before someone goes and tests, and then they can't come in. Then the shooting schedule changed, the fitting schedule changed. Sometimes we had to return everything that we purchased back to the stores and wait the 10 days for them to finish quarantine, and then repurchase everything and do it all over again.
Wow. So have you ever returned something like it back?
Yeah.
Oh.
Regroup.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's endless. And you just need an iron stomach. But I do, when I can be organized, I like the pace. I actually am I find it appealing. It just keeps my adrenaline going. And I'm used to it. I've done it for so long.
Yeah. Would you say I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Would you say that aspect is what's the most challenging about it?
The chaos?
The fast pace? Yeah, like just how fast it is and how things can change in a second?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of personalities. There are many times where the actor and myself, we find a character, find the tone and the look, and I bring it to the writers and the showrunners, and it's like, no, that's not what we were thinking of. That's tough. Then you got to go back and say to the actor, no, it wasn't because we made the wrong choice. It's just that they have something else in mind. Many of the seasoned actors are used to it, especially in TV. This happens a lot.
Yeah.
But it's always a tricky path to navigate.
Yeah, I can imagine. Whew, just hearing about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sweating. Have you ever had, not just necessarily with Barry, but even any other TV show that you worked on, have you ever had it where you presented something to one of the actors and they just said no, like flat out, no, I'm not wearing that?
I did a TV series, Big Love. We did 5 seasons of Big Love. That was challenging because our actresses were very much the quintessential Los Angeles hip actresses. And there were days they were just like, oh, I am not putting on that dowdy thing, like that polyester dress that the compound polygamists wear in Utah. When we first had to present that to some of the actors, they were like, oh no, I'm not putting this on. I'm like, well, it's part of the story. Part of the repulsion is what will help also channel the predicament your character is in.
Right.
So yeah, there have been times where, there'll be some tears like, oh, I don't want to wear that. And then we just got to work it through and find a compromise. But, a polygamous polyester American interpretation of a burqa, it's part of the storyline. So we have to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd also wanted to ask you too about your upcoming projects or anything that you could speak on, if you'd like to tell the listeners what you're going to be doing next.
I am on such a great project. It's called The Mysterious Benedict Society. It's season 2 for Disney Plus. And it's a kid's story based on the book series. And it's so much fun. And we are doing a lot of made to order. And it's sort of 1970s, sort of today, very eclectic.
Mhm.
And it just allows for a lot of room of creativity. So I'm going to be staying on that series instead of going on to season 4 of Barry.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I was like, so people don't bother you about season 4 because they might try to, like, I don't know, get you on social media and be like, what's going on for season 4? And then you could tell them, I'm not doing that.
No, but my whole crew from season 3 is returning to season 4 because they
Oh,
love
that's
working on
great.
the show. It's a great show. I just
Yeah.
found a show that's has a little more creative license.
Yeah, for sure. Do you plan on watching season 4?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Do you have any predictions of what you think will happen to some of the characters?
I think it's just going down a very dark path. And poor Barry is in such a predicament because he just got caught by the police, right?
Yeah. I'm like, finally.
I thought it was interesting. It's like by the time you get to episode 8, it seemed like all the characters were going through psychological hell.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it
I
just
felt
kept going darker and darker and darker. It was really great.
Yeah, I feel really bad for Sally because I feel like her killing somebody like that's going to change her forever. So I don't know, where she's going to be at mentally next season, but I'm really like
Your guess
sad
is as good as mine.
for her. And then I did want to take a quick break just to let my listeners know that the podcast is sponsored by Streann Media, and that I'm using the Streann Studio software to create this podcast, and I'm able to live stream every Tuesday at 1 through Streann Media. So if you guys want to check them out, you could go to studio.streann.com. And yeah, you could use it just like me. It's really simple and easy to use. I always tell people if you're able to use Zoom or Google Meet or anything like that, you could do this as well, because I'm not a techie person at all. So if I'm able to use it, you can as well. And yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I don't want to keep you on for too long, but thank you so much for coming on to my podcast. This has been really, really great for me.
Wonderful. So appreciated as well, Tiffany. All the best. Thank you.
I know. Let's keep in touch. Okay, guys, that was my interview. Listen, I was trying to get my questions out there. I wrote stuff down. You think I didn't? I probably could have went on and still been talking about the show, but I didn't want to do that. So I didn't want to make it too long because I feel like I'll just end up talking too much and it'll be annoying. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Chrisi Karvonides. Like I mentioned, she mentioned, she's not a part of season 4, so can't really ask her to come back on unless I'm talking about another show. But I still plan on talking about Barry, although season 3 is over. At least we know that we're getting a season 4, and hopefully I'll be able to get more guests on. I'm still definitely working on that. And yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Let's see. I feel like there's going to be something else I'm going to want to talk about before I go. I don't think it is. But I'm sure I'll log off and then go, oh, I should have mentioned this. But anyway, that was a really fun discussion. I will see you guys next Tuesday at 1 p.m. on Facebook Live. And I'll definitely be uploading this to YouTube and Anchor and Spotify. So for those of you who can't tune in live, I know I've had some people tell me that like they work at this time so they can't watch it live, which is totally fine. I always upload same day. And then follow me on Twitter at Prima Donna Girls, GURLS. So girls is spelled with the U. I'm usually talking about Barry on Twitter. You could definitely follow me on Facebook as well, so you could see when I go live. But if you want to see me talk about Barry, then I'm usually on Twitter doing that. And I have a bunch of other people who are fans of Barry that I talk to. So hit me up on there. I would love to talk about the show. You could tell me what you thought about this episode, what you think is going to happen in season 4 and all that good stuff. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.